She did a CD for my niece.
Happy Friday, Niagara Graffiti.
Hell yeah.
Actually, happy Friday the 13th.
Oh.
How we doing down there, my good buddy Timbo?
I'm here. Live another week. Finally got through one.
There you go.
Any week we're still picking daisies instead of pushing them up. Good week.
Definitely. You know, it's a blessing to wake up every morning. It definitely is. How we doing back there, wonderful Wizard of Ox?
Doing great back here. All well. We're a little bit late tonight. A little bit of duty called, but we're set to go, good gentlemen. Let's have a show.
Yeah, we had a fender bender out in front of the studio here, too, when we were trying to come up.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I thought it just right there in the middle of the street, and then John pointed out that it actually hit the truck over there, too.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt, I don't believe so. It's all good. Cars can be replaced, people can't.
Yes, definitely. I'd like to go ahead and welcome our guest tonight, Niagara Falls City Councilman John Spanbauer.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And Peter, congratulations on this studio. It looks beautiful, and hopefully you get to utilize it as much as you can.
Yeah, we got a couple of new shows coming through, and
Yeah.
we're getting some new blood on the air.
Yeah, we're getting a couple. Dave started his new show up. Hopefully, get it worked out, scheduled out with the days and whatnot.
Yeah, we need to send out some thoughts and prayers for Dave and his family. He's in Philadelphia right now for a family funeral, so hopefully you have as good a trip as you can, Dave, and we got your family in our thoughts and prayers.
Definitely. Thoughts and prayers with you, Dave. Safe travels. See you soon. Let's go on to Mr. Spanbauer here.
So what do you got for me? Go ahead.
Oh, you don't hear he doesn't hear the sound effects because it doesn't have the...
Well, let's
Okay,
start out with what do you got for us? Go ahead, you got it.
Actually, the first thing I'd like to start off is with a program that the City of Niagara Falls is sponsoring. It's the 42nd annual Ken Ruggiero Junior Golf Tournament.
Yes, I see that.
It's for ages 7 to 17. Registration forms could be found online on the city's website. And this is a tournament that it was held for many consecutive years. And I think it was in 2019 it got rained out. And it was actually a friend of mine called me and said, are they going to redo it? And it had nothing to do with the council. I wasn't on the council at that time. And I called the DPW director. They said, no, we don't have a rain date. So it was canceled that year. COVID comes 2020, canceled that year.
Hell yeah.
So I went to the mayor and I said, listen, is it okay if we take a role? The Hyde Park Golf Club, which I'm a member of, is trying to bring this tournament back. He supported it, so we've worked with DPW, the mayor's office, to get this going. Niagara Golf Partners, who run the golf course, to get this going. So go on the city website. All the information about the golf tournament is there, and hopefully we can bring it back. I'm not sure what the numbers are going to be. Usually when you have a 2-year hiatus, it's tough to get the numbers back. So hopefully that works out.
Yeah, the city website is niagarafallsusa.org, in case anybody doesn't know that one.
I have noticed, though, because everything's been congested, everybody's been locked inside over the past year,
Yeah.
that a lot of events that are happening are filling up. They're not doing too bad.
Yeah.
And
It's coming back
even
around
going
slowly.
over, I see it a lot. Obviously, I watch the council meetings online, or if I pop in every now and then. But I watch the financial report and whatnot. And we didn't really do too bad on the bed taxes and revenues last year compared to what we could have done in other areas.
We got lucky. We had a good rebound.
Yeah.
Once they started
Yeah,
opening
we had
things
an
up.
excellent rebound, and this year looks pretty good up to date. And the other thing, when I talk about the golf tournament, one of the things is, I had a lot of friends. We went golfing. It was very inexpensive back then. We don't have a population of youth golfing in the city anymore. And one of my goals next year is to run free clinics with clubs that we can issue beginner golfers and get more youth using the golf course.
We should do something about taking donations of old golf clubs so that these kids can get a good start, because I know sometimes it's the initial expense. I mean, sports are not cheap anymore.
Definitely not.
The
And they're only
thing is, we have. So I was going to do a clinic, and the summer just got by us. And when I say the Hyde Park Golf Club was going to do a clinic, we were all I've got 2 sets of clubs in my cellar. Every golfer has old sets of clubs
laying around, yeah.
that we were going to be able to provide 50 or 60
Unless you're
sets
Paul
of clubs
Cadella
to
and then
kids.
you're on Facebook trying to sell your old clubs.
Yeah.
Hi, Ohio, Barb and Grim. Thank you for joining us.
Hey Barb, hey Grim.
So
Now the kids, this is a kids tournament that used to be on the Red Nine.
Yeah,
I think
well-
the last time it was actually had was when Paul Deister was still the mayor, I believe, right? Because I remember
Yeah.
we went over there for the presentation.
the
for
last year was
trophies and
218.
stuff. Yeah.
And the mayor's going to be out here on this, making a presentation. And we still have, what was nice, we still have some nice awards that the city had from donations from people over the years. So we got some nice awards to give. Anyone that registers will get a sleeve of golf balls, a hat. So, as you see the registration form out there on Facebook, push it along, and let's try to get people to sign up.
Get those kids on the golf course and get them off the damn ATVs.
Yeah.
You put a club in their hand, let them kids drive out that. That's all I used to do in North Carolina. That's where I first started golfing.
Right.
We would just go out to the lake and just drive balls into the lake,
know-
and it was just to get that cook's anger from the greasy spoon out of us.
Funny story, I used to be on the high school golf team when I was in high school.
You look like a golfer, shirt and everything.
But back to city finance, one of the things I always, when I get in a public platform, I like updating people on the casino funds, and I like giving information about the
gonna ask you
casino
about that.
funds because some of it is so misinterpreted. But let me start with, since we started casino revenues, we received $241 million, okay? 58 million of that has gone to the entities that we give money out to.
Such as Niagara
board.
Falls Memorial
School
Hospital.
Board, Niagara Falls Memorial Hospital,
Isaiah
the Niagara
61.
Tourism and Convention Center. We give some to NFTA.
Community development get any of that money?
No, I
Yeah,
mean
they-
only if we award it through the
they're
city
HUD
council.
funded.
Well,
I
you
think
would
they
have
got
you would have
some.
to go back and look because there was an internal revenue transfer done
Yes.
back in 2017 where there was $1.3 million transferred from Deister to community development to balance the budgets. I actually
Right.
remember being in there,
Well-
and that was brought up back. This is before you were.
No, but I'm saying
you
is
were-
we could, if community development came to the council right now, we could transfer money from the casino funds to
If
community
I come to
development.
council,
Yeah,
can
it
you
would-
transfer me some money?
It would,
I
it would
could use a
actually
little
take.
extra.
It really should take that kind of approval to allocate them kind
Yeah.
of funds. It's not.
But one of the things I wanted to say about the casino, so everyone, and I try, and this is, God bless Vencesola, and I said this the last time I was on his show, we're going to receive approximately $48 million, and you're going to see a headline, Niagara, Seneca settled with New York State, city's getting $48 million. Out of that $48 million, approximately $44 to $45 million is already accounted for.
Because we got advanced from the state.
Well, the state has advanced
Yeah.
us the last
2
3,
years.
4 years.
Was-
so we got to pay that
Yeah.
back first.
Since since 2017, they've been advancing us. So
No.
we owe them about $20 million.
Has the state, are they charging us interest or a fee to borrow that money? Did they
No,
charge us any
no,
for
I
that?
think we're
That
just going to
was-
pay them.
That was part of it all when they put it all together. There
Yeah.
was no advancement.
So I always like saying, so when we get that big settlement, yes, it's going to help, but it's not like we're going to have.
$48 million to piss away.
And I was
That's
talking with someone the other
a
day.
one-time amount, though. It's
Right.
not, that, and that's the biggest
And
problem.
I was talking with someone the other day. They said 57 million, from the American Relief Fund. 48 million, we are going to be rich.
Yeah.
That doesn't work like that.
No,
Not
no,
at
and
all.
Doesn't work
so I
like that.
mentioned those numbers because I think it's important for people to understand, where we stand with the casino funds. And right now, we are down to, I think it's about $800,000 in our casino fund reserve.
travel
So,
fund account.
so we've got to start trying to save that money. And since I've been in office, the thing we spent the most money on that we've approved is demolitions.
Yeah.
Which
Well, demolitions is a sore spot with me because I've been up to the council meeting last couple meetings and I've complained about this one certain house, 670 Ashland Avenue.
Yeah.
That thing, you guys were offered to send the Zoom team over, and I said, please don't, because the house looks better overgrown with the vines and the weeds than it does when you can see the house. It's that bad. This house has been number one on the demolition list since 2014. The city owns it. And they tore down a house right across the backyard from it on Chilton Avenue just a few months ago. And I was like, why are you tearing that one down? This one on Ashland Avenue is so much worse.
Well, Tim, that could be a back and forth argument
Oh, yeah.
all day in regards to
Oh, I know. There's
what should be
priorities and
demolished,
stuff.
what
Right.
shouldn't be demolished, what should make the list, what shouldn't make the list. That's a whole nother show.
Right.
So I know you said you had some questions. Why don't we fire away if you have some?
Obviously, how have you enjoyed being on it? You were sat literally just before we locked down.
Right.
Right, and it definitely is not something that you walked into a financial mess. The same as Maristino. You came in obviously when we knew that we were going to be. Well, we didn't know when you were set that we were going to be through this hellacious experience of lockdown and.
So here's my
to
summarize my experience. It's I don't want to say it's enjoyable. I've learned a lot. I feel I have done less than what I anticipated I could do. I've realized that not that our hands are tied, but I got in to try to make the city better. Sometimes I said I was doing more, not as a councilman, doing more for the city than I'm doing now. And a perfect example is I look at Ezra Scott right now, his involvement in the community. Was he doing more as a councilman to help the community, or is he doing more now? And I don't know that answer. That's the personal gratification of sitting on city council. I don't feel it. It's a thankless job.
It really should be.
And don't get me wrong. I will say it right now. I will not be doing it again. I say that unless something really changes my mind. But when I say I'm not going to be doing it again, I love it because I am not influenced by anything to get reelected. And one of the things that people have not talked about in the city is, as elected officials, is really reassessment. I am pushing for a reassessment in the city, and I'm going to push for it. I know we're going to get a lot of things, but to me, that is something that needs to be done to make this tax base fair and equitable in the city of Niagara Falls.
And I've been saying it since 2017 that should have been done before anything else.
When was the last full reassessment done?
2004.
2004, they started, and here's what happened. And here's where they started in 2004. They did some of the downtown area. And I heard they had a meeting at St. John's, and the LaSalle residents went nuts. I mean, they actually had to call the police, and I heard the story.
I remember they had signs and stuff all over the place.
So what happened is they stopped the reassessment.
I'm saying, I was in North Carolina when all this was going on.
And what happened is back then our city leadership folded to the pressure of a reassessment. And let me just give you an example when we talk about reassessment. Here's where I think we need to make it fair and equitable. Let's just say where I grew up on 20th and LaSalle Avenue. My house was, let's say right now, assessed at $40,000. It's probably, the market value is probably about $25,000.
Yeah.
So let's go out to LaSalle, where I just know a friend that bought a house, bought it for $240,000. It was assessed at $140,000. Market value is $240,000. So we have someone living in a lower income neighborhood paying the market value of $25,000, they're paying the assessed value of $40,000.
Right.
So they're paying tax on a $40,000 house. And that's all through the downtown area of this city. We have people who are struggling financially that are paying more than they should for their market value of the house because they're paying the assessed value. The reassessment brings that down to the market value, where we have people in LaSalle, Cayuga Island, that are buying houses for $200,000 and $300,000 and they're assessed at $150,000.
Right.
And so we have to equalize that. And the one thing,
and that's only going to get worse and increase when that growth that's happened between, like, we've brought it up the last couple of weeks, where that growth between here and Toronto, where people are buying houses for ridiculous amounts, and once that hits here, people are going to be buying they're just going to inflate the prices of the housing around here without a proper base assessment of these houses.
That's one of the things I've talked to some people about the full reassessment as well, and a couple of the concerns that I heard was, first off, they don't trust the city to not use this as a way to increase taxes on people.
I'm glad you said that, Tom, because I'll finish up and
and what I was explaining, my understanding was, when we looked into it and everything, a third of the properties their property taxes would go up.
It's a sliding scale.
Approximately a third would stay the same and a third would go down.
Yeah.
But people have seen how the city is with the money, with raising the taxes, and they don't trust the administration to not use this as a way to just raise taxes on everybody, because I mean, face it, the city has done whatever they can to try and squeeze every nickel out of taxpayers they can without trying to go bonkers. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you stop and look at it, we do pay the higher taxes in the state, and people are not happy with the services they get. So anytime you start talking about where they may get a tax increase, I mean, it's a gamble. You got a 33% chance you're either going to pay more or you may stay the same, but you could be paying less. And those people just aren't willing to trust, their income and their money to take that gamble. They'd rather go over to the casino and put it in a slot machine than trust the city to not.
And here's the thing: when you say trust the leadership of the city, we have new leadership, and I
was going to say
whether you
totally
like
different.
this leadership or not, I am fully comfortable, and I have faith in this leadership. I think they have done some things that have not been popular. I think they have changed the culture, something that people don't see. They have changed the culture of City Hall. And some people don't like it. Mm-hmm. Some people don't like it. But I think they're asking people to do more for less, okay? And guess what? That's what you do in private business to move forward. And Tim, you talk about taxes. I'm a firm believer we need more services in the city.
Absolutely.
And people won't want to hear this, but we want 10 more police officers. We want more people in DPW. How do we get those people?
Yeah.
You have to raise taxes.
Absolutely.
We have to pay for the services.
I was talking to somebody about it earlier, and I can't remember who it was. Actually, I posted it on Robert Ort's page. And really the only answer to get, and I see where Ernie's asking, what is the administration doing with the so-called entertainment district, which is 3rd Street? And we got, the only way that I could see things boosting up, maybe it was you I was talking to about it, is saturating these departments. DPW, the police. It was Earl Bass I was talking to about it. And saturating these departments, scary money don't make money, first of all.
Right.
So unless we're filling up DPW to work on the business instead of working for the business, repeat cleanups, repeat this, repeat that, repeat this, it's never going to change. We're never going to advance. Unless we stockpile the police department with everything they need, we're not going to lower crime. Businesses are not going to want to bring money in here.
You got to have the tools to do the job.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, it also comes back on the community, because if the community is not taking care of their community, nobody's going to want to invest in that community.
Not at all.
And that's a big thing for me. I've always said, and going back to where you said that you said you're not going to run again because you
I say that right now, as I sit here, and who knows, in 2 years from now, if I think I've made a difference and the city's moving in the right direction,
I'm really going to hate to primary you.
I might change my mind, but I thought I could do more. I thought I could do more to help the city, and I'm finding that I am a legislator.
Again, you came into the COVID, and I'm not trying to make justification or excuses for you. You came into the COVID time, and going back, like I do with everybody else, I kind of do a little bit of extra research, try to refresh myself. And a lot of people might not know that you were awarded Big Brother of the Year from Big Brothers and Sisters Club. Yeah. You were awarded the Missions Award from Niagara University. You've Western New York Special Olympics basketball program, St. George's Outreach. You've done things before you even considered running for your community, obviously, by different things that
And Sean, those are good things, and here's why I question some. I love doing those things. I enjoy doing. The city council. The city council has. I'm not involved as much in the community like those programs.
But you've always been in the community.
The Madeline Project
1983 YMCA Youth Director and Programs Operational Director. Obviously you've always been in this. You got your master's degree from NU. And I'm going on about these things because going back to what Ernie said about
3rd Street.
3rd Street. Well, just overall, anywhere. I think that you will do more before I have to primary you, and that's why I'm afraid.
Well, let me go back to 3rd Street because I think.
But because you have the tourism hospitality background.
And I can't remember. I think, were you down last Thursday on 3rd Street?
I popped in for a second.
So first of all, that event alone, people talked about shutting down, and I love the name Thursday on 3rd Street. And I'll tell you, I can't remember the next Thursday, but they're going to have.
The 26th, I think it is. I believe it's the 26th is the next.
Yeah, I got it
The
posted.
26th,
Yeah.
and they're going to have, what's Eddie Tabone? I'm drawing a blank on it. The group they're going to have down there is very
Nerds Gone
popular.
Wild.
Oh, why am I-
Nerds Gone Wild is what.
Yeah,
Peter
Nerds
said.
Gone
Nerds
Wild.
Gone
Thank you, Peter.
Wild.
That's gonna pack that place. But let me go back to those are the things we have to start in June and take them through to September. Okay, we need both for community and our tourists more activities on 3rd Street. Now, you could see on 3rd Street there's 2 other investors that have put in money that are going to open 2 restaurant bars. So when we talk about entertainment on 3rd Street, no, we haven't had it. But I'll tell you what, there's seeds that are there that might start making this
Lori Jo.
a place that regulars and tourists want to go.
Yeah, you got Halligan's. That's actually a business that's going to be coming into the city from Cambria.
That's
You got Jay Zona and
Jay
his
Zona.
partner.
Yeah.
They're actually going to open it up down on 3rd Street. I actually talked to them last night. They're shooting for St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
They want to get up and running then.
We should try to get a Niagara Graffiti food truck built by then.
Hey.
But those are things when you talk about 3rd, to see the activity down there. And let me tell you, the owner of the craft down there, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Came to a city council meeting.
Yeah, I was there.
He said, "Oh, let's do this." The mayor said, "Talk to me after." Talk to him. They made it happen.
They made it happen.
You know,
Absolutely.
So that's working together to make things happen.
That's a
So
perfect segue into this next question.
Well,
that I
they
wanna
cut
ask
the
you.
red tape. Remember, there's usually a lot, so they must have done stuff to cut the red tape and get that program going.
That actually is a great way to go into this next question. Judging by the language that you've used at different council meetings, you seem to be well adjusted for being the newest council member
Rookie.
to working with them. You seem to have a good reciprocity. At the same time, saying, "Listen, this doesn't make sense. Explain this to me. Why should we do this?" Do you feel that same comfortable?
When you
level
say
with
working
them?
with who?
with the administration?
Well, here's what I can tell you. My mode of operation.
And I'm not trying to set you up for
No,
an argument
my
at the
mode
next
of
council
operation.
meeting,
If I'm going to disagree with the administration and the council person, I will do it behind closed doors.
I would.
I do not.
I'm up on a
I have
damn
not
dais.
seen a situation or a reason to pull someone out on the floor and have a public disagreement in
Yeah.
the council chamber. Now, let's go back to November, my first November, when the mayor came forward and proposed concessions for 4 of our public safety unions. We had discussions behind closed doors. He talked about how this was the best way to go, and I didn't think it was. I thought what we were doing, we were making concessions for $350,000. Basically, they were giving up their first 6 holidays. They were going to be able to put it onto their retirement. Bottom line, in my estimation from the homework I did, it was going to cost us $750 in the long run.
Now I have been told you do your research, that you got books on your desk inside
Yeah, the
your
problem
office.
is I do it, but I don't remember it. That's why.
Well, I mean, you're,
Got that sometime
But-
starting to
but
sound.
was gonna say, you're a little bit older,
and
so it
Tim,
makes sense.
as a union person, I was not against the union on that. I said, listen, let's come together. I just thought what we did, we saved $350, and really what we did is reduce the casino spending by $350.
Right.
I would have rather said, let's put the $350 in, use the casino funds to balance that budget that year, like we've done for years, and let's not have to. Let's sit down and talk more about the concessions that need to be made. And let me lead into that, because and Tim will. One of the things I always try to point out, and here's, if there's one thing I want to get done in this council, and Tim's going to hate to hear this,
No, I don't hate
I
that.
would love to see across-the-board health insurance. Everyone should pay health insurance. We have about 55% of our employees that are paying zero in the health insurance. And let me just give you some numbers. When we look at the cities that the New York State Controller's Office compares to, okay, the employee benefit costs that we have that's on the State Controller's Office, we spend $39 million.
Yeah.
Okay. City of Binghamton spends $20 million. City of Troy, $25 million. City of Utica, $21 million. Okay. So we spend almost $250 more than the closest per taxpayer or per person in the population than any of those other cities.
and
Now,
actually, if you look at it, Binghamton has a higher population.
right, and this is cost per person. So the close one to us, Cost per person in the city of Niagara Falls using a population of 50,000. This is on the New York State
Yeah, we're at
Controller's
like
Office.
43.7.
Here's what I can tell you. If these figures here, if you took the average of the cost of population with those 4 cities pay, it costs $516 per person for the cost of medical insurance. If we did the average, 516 times our population, our cost would be almost $26 million. We're $39 million. Can you imagine if we were just the average and we had $14 million more to spend and
Now,
to improve the city?
I'm going to ask you 2 questions on that. Very simple questions.
Yep.
Number 1, are those union? Are those cities run by unions?
Oh yeah, Binghamton.
The
they're
employees
very
are
similar.
unionized?
Oh, Binghamton. All these cities have unionized police and fire departments.
What are their median salaries? What are their salaries for those employees?
I think
Actually, you could. I didn't bring that. Okay, yeah. Actually, you know what? Let me tell
If
you.
you look, I
Okay,
believe
let's
their
look at the salaries. Here we
their
go.
salaries
I
are
came
actually
prepared.
higher.
Total payroll cost. Okay, in 2010, for Binghamton was 29 million. For Niagara Falls was 30 million. For Troy was 28 million. For Utica was 30 million. Okay.
But how many employees do they have? That's just what the overall salary costs the city. How many employees do they have? Because they probably have less employees, and they probably pay their employees more.
I don't think they have less. I don't have that data in front of me. But let me go back to. So that was 210. We were very comparable to those cities in salaries. 2019 comes. Okay. We go up. We actually go up to 38 million. The closest city to us is 33 million. We increased our salaries in 9 years by $7 million. The closest one to us increased their salaries by $4 million. So bottom line is, as we increase cost, that went on the taxpayers, but a lot of this comes down to the unionized contracts, and I think it comes down to our city leadership that didn't have the balls to make tough decisions, you know. And when I say tough decisions, how do you get reelected when you voted contract down? How do you get reelected, Tim, that I want you to pay in the health insurance? You know, you're not going to elect me.
No, but
You know,
the thing people
and
need to understand
if I want to
too,
get reelected, I don't go that route.
Yeah.
the thing people need to understand also is you cannot put those city contracts on the council members because the city council does not sit in on the negotiations. That's done with the city corporation council. The mayor gives the corporation council what they're willing to negotiate with, and they sit down with union negotiators to hammer out those contracts. And when those contracts are presented to the city council, in your guys' defense, you are told by corporation council and by the union reps, this is the best contract we could come up with. You guys need to approve this.
And that's the one thing, as far as since I've been watching it, it's been a major lack of transparency. If you're making a decision on that kind of thing, you should be able to sit on each of them meetings or whatever meetings.
So many cities have open meetings when they discuss union contracts.
Yeah, and they should.
And Tim, here's what I'm going to say. At Niagara, I sat on a committee that we use contracted services at Niagara, and I sat on a committee where there's 3 people negotiating the contracts for food service, for our grounds, for our cleaning. They come to the committee, they said, here's what we worked out. We look at the contract, we say, well, that's not good enough, take it back. So when a contract comes to the city council, I disagree. Would I like to be in the negotiations? I sure would, but when that contract comes to me and I read it, just like the last one that I voted down, I didn't like it.
Yep.
I could vote it down and say, go back to the drawing board. So it would be nice to be more involved, to see the background behind the discussions. The one thing we don't see, okay, what are you giving up? What is the city giving up? What are you coming together on?
When you and I sat down with this before, we sat down up at the other studio with this, and I showed you that I believe it was 12 out of the last 20 years, the city unions, the steelworkers, my union, we actually had zero raise.
That's where this gets murky because you're.
But I pulled the contracts because I wanted to show you.
That. Yeah,
and there were 12 out of 20 years where there was zero raise.
Well, if there's anybody that's got the paperwork
to keep those benefits at that level, that was what was given up for that, and a raise for what the city is getting now. I mean, it's not even.
Tim,
2%.
and let me tell you, and I don't disagree with that. Here's what I could tell you. I sat in 3 budget meetings in the last 2 weeks: fire, police, and DPW. I give credit to the department heads because they're doing a good job of keeping costs down. But when you look at where we were in 2017 and where we are in 2021, the city is doing our previous council leadership currently are keeping costs down. But at some point, costs have to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom line is there's a 2% across the board, and that's built in there. But when we look at supplies and stuff like that, every department is keeping their costs down.
Right.
You know, we have built-in costs right now with the 2% increase, which I'm all for, by the way. And when you have a budget with a 2% increase, you know, you just don't understand. Something has to give.
Right.
You know.
Well, I know the couple of the things that I had seen here recently that really kind of chapped me was we've got administrations offering $10.75 to try and get people to work at the splash pads, but they paid two department heads $90,000+ a year plus benefits. Those two jobs that were done that they replaced with the $90,000 employees, those were being done. One was being done for an $8,000 stipend a year. The other one was a guy that was doing it for $60,000 a year that was let go, which I get it. That's their personal decisions. But I have a hard time when the public information officer was hired for $42,000 a year plus benefits, and the justification was that's a low-paying salary. And I've brought this up several times.
I know you have.
There's a guy in my department that's worked there for 27 years and doesn't make $40,000 a year. And you guys say that was a low-paying starting salary, and I'm like,
Don't say you guys. I know.
Who voted for it? It was unanimously voted.
I voted for it.
It was unanimously approved to hire a public information officer for $42,000 a year with the justification of that's a low-paying salary. But
And I've said it multiple
a 27-year
times.
employee that's not even making $40,000 a year. I mean, that is a real big kick in the nuts to that guy.
I've said it multiple times. I'm not impressed with her job.
You know, when you
I-
look at it, it's a
when I was
middleman.
told about when I was told about it obviously because I got a big ass mouth and certain individuals wanted to come to me and tell me their opinion on it, was that it was supposed to be covering the mayor's office, city council, police department, DPW, and all I'm saying is, I can make them damn memes. We know I
So
can make them memes.
I don't want to get into
and they
this.
would be funny.
Right.
I don't want to get in a discussion about the PI, whether it's. I think there's more stuff coming out of the mayor's office than ever before than.
I agree, but we're comparing
and when you
that
say
to Deister.
that-
And Deister,
And when you say that she's available for she's the one that actually put the flyer. I asked her if she could put a flyer together for the youth golf tournament, put a marketing strategy together. She's done that, okay, which is good. So, but Tim, let me go back to salaries, and I'm a firm believer. I worked in private industry, and one of the things we had to do, if I wanted an assistant director, which I did like 15 years ago, the first thing they said, well, what do your other schools have? So,
To deliver.
come on in. We have a delivery of pizza.
delivery of pizza. Appreciate you, boss.
Thank you.
By the way, that's Pete Sweeney, a retired firefighter. He
Pete
just
Sweeney
retired.
from the fire department.
We just got delivered pizza from a retired firefighter. We've made it.
Joey's Pizza next door. Compliments of Mr.
I wonder if he's related to
Spanbauer.
Jack Sweeney. I
don't know.
You have to ask him for me, John.
But,
Go ahead, John.
but back to one of the things we were always told to do was benchmark. So you talk about the $90,000 salary of these department heads. I have not looked at other cities, but I can guarantee you other cities are probably paying those people that much money or more. You have to look at the level of person you're having and what their qualifications are. Is it a lot of money in Niagara Falls? Yeah, I agree, but I don't think it's out at extremely high for those positions when you look at how you're going to recruit people.
Well, obviously, the pay has to match the performance.
And the other thing is, do those people live in the city? Do you know? Because I know there's a residency requirement for all city employees.
I don't know.
And they had 6 months to move into the city, which should have been this month.
Listen, there's houses over on 7th Street that I would love to sell them because I'd like my neighborhood a little bit cleaner.
Well, we need to.
And when you talk about that stuff, Tim, let me tell you. And here's one of the things that I'm disappointed as a council person. And when I say I'm disappointed, it's just my expectations were a little different than the realistic thing. I thought I would know more about the day-to-day operations. Like I thought I would.
You're coming from an administrative position yourself
Right.
at a major university, so.
And it's just the way the system
Niagara
is set up.
University.
There's and the mayor has an open door policy. I can go in there and it's my fault because I told Tony Versteiner when I first got in, I'm going to set up a meeting with you maybe bi-monthly, just give me updates
Right.
on what's going on. I haven't done that, and I need to do that,
Well, in order to properly run the government, it should be just as much of a. No, we're not, Dave. No, we're not. We miss you, Dave, and we hope that everything is well with you, and we're sorry for your loss. Damn it, I always forget what I'm talking about when I go off on a tangent like that.
Oh.
What was I saying?
Let's acknowledge we got Nick Bios comment on our feed here. He's put in some good comments. We had heard.
Here comes Sam Archie.
Sam, welcome, Sam.
He said, "Peace." It's right here at the door, Sam.
Yeah. We got Lori Pello on here, obviously.
Let me ask you while he goes through the comments real quick, because I got two major questions that I want to ask you. And we've already went over my Tesla ideal, renaming the street.
Oh, yeah.
You said that it was something that you weren't interested in. Which,
No. What I said is I wanted to do a little more research on.
to be done.
First of all, I think we needed to name a street or something. I'm just not sure
I think
where
what
it should
it was
go.
is that it was more of you weren't interested in renaming Main Street because of all the stuff that they would have to change.
Oh,
You
yeah.
You
gotta
were the
change
first person
maps
explaining to me saying, "Hey, there's a
street
I think
signs.
You were the first one to say there's a federal post office, city hall. All this has to be changed."
Yeah, the
Yeah.
post office hates when we rename streets.
The thing is that it was more of what you guys have been doing, because you guys have to approve the honorary mentioning of naming of streets, kind of like the renaming of Ontario and whatnot. And that was kind of more of my deal. Maybe it was more of a. I put it in the wrong wording. I've actually went back and since then changed it, Main Street or a Main Street, just more of an honorary mention
Right.
thing.
Right.
And yes, I'm glad that you said that, because that answers my question. That you agree that we need to give him some kind of.
I think, to be honest, the ideal situation, Dan Davis, bless his heart, because he's always talked about, a nice not community center, a center that would highlight all history, that would highlight.
Kind of like a museum.
Yeah,
Our
and
cultural
we
center.
need that.
Yeah.
We need that in the city of Niagara Falls, and
We get my garden
turtle.
here that has damn AI robots to tell why they were here, and
The turtle would be
replace
perfect.
the old winter gardens.
The turtle is in
Yeah.
a perfect location.
well,
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
and the turtle.
That was originally what that was designed for, wasn't it?
And it was a Native American art museum.
Yeah, it was a
Yes.
museum. And, and hopefully, and I don't want to say too much about that, but I know that our mayor has talked to NFR.
He's working on. He's got things in the works. I was told. as well.
So, we know that there's got to be something done, especially when you look at the turtle.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you've heard,
building.
they wanted to develop that at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So Roger Trevino, who I talked to, and I talked to him a lot during my campaign, trying to figure out what they were trying to do and stuff. And he said one of the things they proposed, they were going to have a high-rise hotel there, but the city turned it down.
Well, you're only allowed 5 stories down
The
there.
zoning.
And
yeah.
I'm not sure that was the right thing. Niagara Falls, Canada has high rises, and I'm not saying
Niagara
I'm right
Falls,
or wrong.
Canada wasn't designed by Frank Olmsted, was it? That wasn't, because we have the Olmsted plan that's in place. That was to make sure that we didn't destroy the view for anybody.
yeah. Right.
Because if you put a 30-story hotel in front of a 20-story hotel, the 20-story hotel is going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So I can see that, because we ran into that when we were talking about the Hamster Hotel.
But I tell that story because it's not like they didn't try to put an investment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
So-
there's certain times that they have tried. I'm pretty sure that he was one of the ones that went towards the NFL when they were talking about relocating the Bills.
Yeah.
It's definitely put out there, and I understand that he's got. That's a gold mine. You want to make your money.
You know what I think I think one of the things we need to do is, I know that down on Maccoon there was a slum property.
It's still there. I was just talking about it yesterday.
They
I
had
wanna
the
buy it.
sign. They
It
had
was
the
a what
sign.
property? I didn't hear
It was
that.
a slumlord property
Okay.
on Maccoon Avenue,
Oh,
and
I
they
know which
put
one you're
the
talking about.
sign up there to say who the property owner was. This is slum. I think we need to start some kind of a public campaign like that with some of these properties that are being held hostage over by, over towards the river where Milstein owns them, NFR owns them, to try and what has been done to spur anything to get them to move. I understand it's privately owned. You can't force them to do anything.
Well, speaking
but
of
we
which-
need to figure out some way. Somehow, somebody's got to get creative. And I used to tell my kids, you don't want me to get creative when it comes to trying to get these kids disciplined and stuff. But we need to get creative. Figure out some way of, whether it be public shaming them, enticing them to sell them, develop them.
Well, and if you
something.
really think about it, because if and I said this last week, you know, what they are doing by holding that prime location,
they're holding
is
development
hurting the
hostage.
city.
You're right.
They're land speculators, and here's so.
But how long can you allow a land speculator to sit on something?
We could take the turtle in a second. We could go down and use eminent domain and take the turtle if we had
if you have a shovel-ready project.
If Tim Meter said, I want to develop, I'm going to put $40 million. We can go to NFR and say, listen, you're either got to do something or
Shit,
we're
or
going to
get
take
off
it
the
to
pot.
eminent domain.
Yeah.
But we don't have that. We don't have that private investment.
Well,
Now, they're land speculators. People buy property all the time and speculate. You know, their property is up, kept well. Now, do I wish, like, NFR was involved in a study to put an arena downtown. You know, they would love to see an arena, but who's going to spend the money for that? It should
Even
be.
if they bust it up and instead of one big project, we can get 5 different
I
smaller
think
projects.
that's the biggest problem, is that they got so much land that they want to get off all at once, and
Right.
I'm pretty sure that that's what the problem
Oh yeah,
was.
they
when
want to
it
hit a
first
home run
started.
with it. It's what they're looking for.
Yeah, and
Well,
in a lot of ways, it is a catch-22
You know-
because they do maintain the property, they maintain their taxes, they do own the property, but at the same time, in the long run, they're hurting the city from that area. Nobody wants to open up a business on Niagara Street with all that across
All right, guys,
the street.
we're
I
getting
know
up
we got
against the
going
clock here
late,
because
but I would love to do one role play, one more thing, because
Let
I
it
think
rip,
this
buddy.
is important.
Let it rip. It's you.
You're going to be the Senecas, okay? You're going to be New York State.
I'm actually
okay.
Native American.
Okay, you're the
Okay,
Senecas.
you're the Senecas.
You're New York State. I'll be in the. I would really like. People ask, "Oh, how's the negotiation?" We don't know. Like
No,
the
that's a
council
state
doesn't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
We have no idea. But I have a feeling of some of the talks that may be going on. So right now the compact comes up. 2023. Things are going to change. There's no doubt you're holding our money back because we're still trying to do. So what are your talking points to New York State?
Well, first of all, my talking points would be that you don't make more money unless I make more money. And unless all this is taken care of and we can't bring more clientele in, then you can't make more money off of me. Because technically, we don't own none of that property. That's the Seneca's property.
That's a totally
no
separate
matter
country.
Right.
That's a totally different country, it's a sovereign nation.
Yep.
And the state and the city both know that the only way that they can make more in the slot drops is if they get more clientele in there.
Yep.
And nobody wants to come here especially around there. Like literally, they're right in the middle of NFR's bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where they're at, and in a lot of ways, I'm a very big person about saying, you know what, I don't care about NFR. I don't care about the how we tax the Senate, because I don't want to say I don't care about the Senate because that'd be horrible. But I don't care about NFR. I don't care about the state. And if any entity is here that's that large, creating that kind of money off of our city, then they need to be giving our city money based on the resources that they're using or wasting.
and are costing us. Right.
And that's how I feel about it.
So
And-
you're summarizing kind of both sides. What do you think's going on in those discussions?
Well, I'm a
And
very
I'm going to
level.
give you my opinion.
I'm a very level person too. So
Well, you got to remember you're negotiating with the state rather than the city, and the state doesn't care. They just want money.
No, and I'm just talking
They wanna
about. I know
squeeze
we're
them
not,
for
but
as
so you're
much.
taking the Senecas in the state.
Yeah, the state's position is they just want to come in and squeeze as much money as they can possibly squeeze out of them, and not really give them anything in return. I mean, you gave them exclusivity, but then you kind of
So-
welched on that deal with the Batavia Downs deal, and
So here's what I'm going to tell you. You lost that since the casino was built in 2002. Within an 8-hour ride, you have probably 30 other casinos. Okay, Senecas used to be the only casino.
they were the only trick.
So
within
you got them
200
in
miles.
Pennsylvania, you got them in Ohio. So their revenues are going down.
And right across
so
the border.
So the bottom line is they're negotiating, saying, we're not getting the money we used to get. So we're not going to give you 25%. We might give you 18%. That's what they're talking about. I got to believe the state is also saying, when you talk NFR, who knows what's going on behind. I almost think the state may be saying, well, you know what? Let us come in with our own casino. We'll use NFR property. We'll put a Harrah's right downtown Niagara Falls.
Trump
yeah,
Plaza.
I understand that, but at the same time, the reason why people would rather go over to the casino in Canada, and they do that, because they can take their kids to Clifton Hill.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
could take
There are other things to
and
do.
At the state,
The exchange rate.
that water park would have been a great thing right across the street from the casino. But it would have also affected the area because you
Right.
get more people staying at that casino because of the water park or that hotel, and we get the bet tax from that.
But the other thing too about a state-run casino, they don't
Oh,
succeed.
they've done
The
terrible.
state
No, they-
cannot
State has
run
done terrible.
a profitable
Yeah, well,
casino. Everyone they've built, I believe, has already failed.
Well, the one in Schenectady, they're asking for more money. The people, again, remember, they hire the Harris and the Caesars to run them. And I think the one in Schenectady, they're asking for more money from the state because they're not doing what they thought. And by the way, casino gambling, please understand that it's going to be gone.
I've never
at
been to a
some point.
casino.
Yeah,
And
then when they
you
get
have
rid
the
of cash.
retired people
Not here
now
anyways.
who had their pensions and who have money. 20 years from now, the disposable income with people that are 60 years old is going to be a lot less than it is now. So,
All right, John, we need to get you back on here again because
It'd be wonderful.
this time went entirely
yeah, and
too
I know we
fast.
started a little late. And
Yeah,
But you know
That's-
what?
that's-
We
Yeah,
need
we'll-
to get you back
We'll
on.
we'll do it again.
We'll set something up with you to get you back in here. Is there anything you want to say before we scoot? Because I know you had another.
Yeah,
engagement
no,
you
no,
gotta
real
get to.
quick. I just, I like to tell residents and people, there's a lot of resources out there to find out about city government, like the New York State Controller's Office, See Through New York. And I'll tell you, I'll do this one last thing that,
Niagara Graffiti will tell you too. You can message us and
and I don't know if you guys got this.
we'll send you the best information
Anthony
possible.
Villardo, when he did a presentation on this, what the state was going to invest,
Yes.
there's an app out there called Instant Input. If you go to Instant Input, download the app, you can go to every state project, and they got about 8 in the Niagara Falls area. You could put comments in there, and it's just pretty cool. It describes each project, like
The scope of work and the anticipation.
yeah,
and then when
yeah.
they're trying to
So
do it.
it got
Oh, okay.
right here the hydraulic canal interpretation. So
I'll
you-
go ahead and link that.
So
to
it's one of
our
those
page.
good apps that I think is great for and gives people information.
Gives people another way
Yeah.
to input, to
So-
put their input in on a
But
project.
you guys, thanks for having me. I
Hey,
know
we
time went
appreciate
quick.
it.
And
We
I always
appreciate you
enjoy
coming.
talking with Tim because we're honest with each other. We may disagree on things, but it's always
We're realist.
We're
We
challenge
know.
each other, which is good.
I mean, we
Well-
learn a lot from each other. I've learned a lot
Yeah.
from you.
For the next time you come on, I really want you to be thinking urban chickens. That'll be a discussion that we'll have to have. Tim, my man, do you got anything you want to say before we head on out?
I want to say thanks to John for coming in and look forward to you coming back. Wish you luck and hopefully you do well and you would get some enjoyment out of your last couple of years on council, more than what you've gotten so far. And keep up the good work. Keep doing the research. We got to get the information out to people. We got to educate people and we got to be transparent. The more information people have, the less I think they're going to be able to complain and bitch at your decisions once they understand. And just like we talked before you got elected, it's totally different when your ass is in the seat as compared to sitting out in the stands, out in the crowd. Once you're up there behind, and I'm sure you've seen, it is totally different. Like you said, you haven't been able to accomplish everything you wanted to. You've been, but that's the realistic view that you're seeing now.
Yep.
And the wheels of government turn slow.
Most definitely.
But I do
Most
appreciate when you do
definitely.
put the information out. And like I said, I know with the short-term rentals, you had a presentation and stuff. And you know what? It was very informative. And hopefully that showed some people, where the city's looking at on these as well to try and get both sides of it out.
Yeah, there's two sides to every story,
Absolutely.
as we all know.
Well, I'm very glad that you came on. I greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
And just like Tim, I'm glad that you actually take the time to research, educate yourself, not only explain things to other people, but take the time to educate other people to the best of your ability.
We're going to see you out Sunday at Sal Megley, right, for the Summerfest at
I'm
Sal?
actually leaving tomorrow morning for Baltimore.
That's it, you're fired.
Oh, it's going
Never
to be
been there.
more.
Me and my wife are going there tomorrow. So.
Get Sean a
They're
Ravens hat.
playing tomorrow, yeah.
Sean wants a Ravens hat.
Ravens are playing tomorrow. This is their first game of the preseason.
Oh, okay.
Sean wants a Ravens hat.
Yeah, Tim got me one. That's my buddy.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and send a few things out. Sunflowers and Sanborn's holding a craft show tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Buffalo Mac and Cheese Festival, 11:30 at Buffalo Waterworks.
Ooh, mac and cheese.
Sunday, Summerfest. Don't forget to be there, but there's also a basketball drill, dance drill, craft, pop-up events, and more at Gluck Park for families. I I would like to send a special shout out. I wanted to do this last week, but I didn't get a chance to. I'd like to tell my brother, a Niagara Falls native, congratulations,
Hell yeah.
Master Chief, on your promotion.
All right, man. Congratulations.
20 years in the Navy. I love you, miss you. Be safe out there.
One more thing, too. We've got a backpack drive going for Niagara Pride. They were out at Hyde Park today. I know there was a church over on, I believe, on Niagara Street. Sorry, Ron, I don't remember the address, but if you guys can see it in your hearts to donate, these are backpacks for the kids here in the city school district. Niagara Pride is going to be doing that. I know they have one on Sunday, because I asked them to come over to the Summerfest. So if you can get a chance, look them up, Niagara Pride. They're on Facebook, and you can find where they're collecting backpacks and school supplies for the kids.
Yes, sir. And in honor of my brother, I'd like to leave with this quote. If there may be trouble, let the trouble be in my day, so that my children may know peace. Have a great weekend, Niagara Graffiti.
Peace
See y'all
out.
later. Out.